Today I want to show you guys the low back and hip complex. This is an area that people often get pain, and it's really cool to see the anatomy that goes on inside there. So I want you guys to just look and appreciate how closely the low back is related to the pelvis and how closely the pelvis is related to your hip. If we zoom in, we can see the individual vertebrae and the space between those vertebrae, which is where your discs are. The little holes in between the backs of the vertebrae are where your nerves exit out of. These little joints that connect each vertebrae to the one above and below it are called facet joints. They allow your back to move forward, sideways, and bend in either direction. I want to bring up the nerves that exit out of your vertebral column. I like to describe these as a garden hose, and the hole that they come out of, if it's narrowed, is like pinching on a garden hose. If the nerve is pinched or the garden hose is pinched, it means that the signal isn't as strong. If we zoom in again, we can see where those nerves connect and combine right at the base of your sacrum, or at the lowest part of your back. And then they convene and then they go out, kind of like cars on a highway, or exiting off a highway, into what is called your sciatic nerve. You have two sciatic nerves, one on either side. If we turn and we look at it from the front, and we can take away one of those vertebrae so you can see where they all come out of. But I think it's really helpful to see how those nerves congregate and then how they split off and become the system that allows us to move and feel in the lower half of our body. Now we can start to add muscles, and this is where it gets really cool, because you're going to start to see that muscles in the hip cross over the top of your leg, muscles in between your vertebrae attach them to one another, and now muscles from your low back cross your whole pelvis and insert on the inside of your hip. Those help to flex our hip in walking and other motions where we need our hips to come, or our knees to come up closer to our chest. This is where we start to see how important the core muscles are in supporting your lower back. This muscle here is called your transversus abdominis, and you can see the anatomy of it is almost like a corset that wraps around your torso. Adding another layer is your rectus abdominis, or those six-pack abs that everybody so desires. If we add another layer, we get your internal obliques. And if we add another layer, we get your external obliques. It helps to see where those muscles originate and insert on, to understand and fully comprehend and appreciate the movement patterns that we need to be able to do, and why when people have low back pain, often the core muscles are the first ones we try to strengthen. So if we turn around and we look at the back part of the lower back, and we start to add some muscles in, you can kind of start to see how each vertebrae is connected and how those vertebrae then connect to the pelvis and the hip. As we add more muscles, we can start to see that there are muscles that start all the way from your shoulder blade and the upper part of your back, and they go down and they insert on your pelvis and on the lower parts of your spine. Again, as we add more muscle groups, we can see how closely all those joints are actually related to each other. I want you guys to pay attention as we add these muscles in to how they start from the low back and how they go all the way across your pelvis and down through your hip. One of the muscles I want to highlight is your gluteus minimus and all those little muscles that connect your low back to your hip and the lower part of your pelvis to your hip. Here you can see one of your hamstring muscles, and that starts on the lower part of your pelvis and inserts all the way down below your knee. Another important muscle group to highlight is your gluteus maximus, and just underneath that, your gluteus minimus, both of which are important for walking, and your gluteus medius is important in keeping you upright and with your hips level when you're standing on one leg. So we'll zoom out, we'll take away the muscles, so again you can see the bony structure and appreciate what is going on inside your